So, Sunderland have suffered their second loss in the league so far this season, which on the whole, it's not bad. But this game against Portsmouth, I was ready for it. I knew it was going to be a difficult one. But I really didn't want it to be the kind of game that is decided by a refereeing decision or a lack of refereeing decisions. And that's exactly what this game has been, which is really, really frustrating. It's really pissed me off. So, anyway, let's get into it. So, we go into this game with a relatively strange lineup. I'm not blaming the result on it. We did lose 3-1, by the way. I'm not blaming it on the lineup necessarily. It was quite an odd one. We had McLaughlin in goal. We had James coming back for Oviedo. We had Louvens and Baldwin in the middle of defence. We had O'Nien playing at right back, which was my original sort of question mark, because I know we've tried to sort of play him there a little bit over the last few games, and I've already made my sort of opinions known on O'Nien. I've not been convinced by him, regardless of his brilliant attitude and his work ethic and what have you. He hasn't convinced me. But we had Catamol, Power, Honeyman, McGeady, Gooch, and then Watmore playing up top. Madger on the bench. Madger didn't get a game. He didn't even come in off the bench. I mean, beforehand, I understand that, Portsmouth will have done their scouting on us. They would have noticed that Madger starts pretty much every single game. And then, obviously, Watmore, who we know how good he can be. He's just come back from injury. He probably didn't expect us to play Watmore up top. So, I suppose, tactically, that's a relatively clever move. It was just the O'Nien part that was sort of confusing me a little bit, because considering we had Oviedo on the bench, we could have put Oviedo as left back, Reece James at right back, because Reece James can play at right back. That confused me a little bit, but anyway, that's by the by. The first half gets underway, and to be honest with you, I think all in all in the first half, I think we probably had the better of it. Don't get me wrong, it was relatively even. It was a massive battle. Neither side really had any clear-cut chances. No one was really getting necessarily on top. But I think towards the back end of the first half, particularly the sort of last 15, 20 odd minutes, we controlled the game completely. We were keeping hold of the ball, playing some nice football. It was just that final third where nothing was really coming off. And it wasn't for neither Portsmouth or us. Do you know what I mean? So it was a very even game. It was a really exciting battle to watch. A real top-of-the-table clash. The Portsmouth fans were amazing, I have to say. There was non-stop singing, and I actually sort of forgot the atmosphere you get from going down to Portsmouth. And of course, I wasn't there; I was watching it. But even just watching it on TV, it's just mad. And they do have some fantastic supporters. I have to say, they do create a brilliant atmosphere down there at home. But I think, like I say, I think we had the best of the first half, and it was just a really well competed game. It just made it really exciting, and then. To be fair, O'Nien, who I was a bit worried about, like I say, for me, he got man of the match. For us, anyway. He was absolutely unstoppable. He was fantastic. So many last-ditch challenges, winning balls in the air, aerial duels. He was just throwing himself all over the pitch, and it was absolutely excellent. A couple of runs down the right wing as well. And I think he was brilliant. And I've given him a lot of shit and a lot of stick in the past, and I think in certain circumstances, maybe deservedly so. But today, he was absolutely excellent. And I can't really fault any of the players today, but apart from one. So we get into the second half. Ball played over the top. Portsmouth player was through on goal. Louvens is trying to track back, and is sort of really off balance behind the player who's obviously one-on-one with the keeper. And he's just kind of, he didn't really trip him or shove him or anything like that. He was kind of just behind him, and because he's just such a hunk of shit, really, isn't he? He's obviously a bit old now. He's a little bit rusty. He's not the greatest of defenders. He's not got the pace. He's very clumsy, and he's just kind of, I can't even explain. Just kind of huddled into the back of the Portsmouth player who's fell to the floor, fell to the ground. And don't get me wrong, it's a penalty. Red card, I'm not entirely sure. Yes, he's through on goal, but if you take into consideration the sort of double jeopardy rule, did he purposely take him down? No, he didn't. I don't think he did. He obviously was trying to track back. Maybe, I think it's all accidental. He's not shoved him, he's not kicked him, he's not like chopped him down or anything like that. That hasn't been the case. So I think we were kind of hard done by there. And they get the penalty and they score it. We're down to 10 men, he gets a red card, Louvens. So it just, it just completely turned the game on his head, and I think it just kind of fucked the game up a little bit for us. And from there, we were just chasing our tails a little bit. They immediately got a second. O'Nien, who again I say was my man of the match, he managed to get one back. Very well played from him. Played over the top by Power, I think it was, to O'Nien at the back post, and he just played past the goalkeeper, and then makes it 2-1. For just a second, we had a glimmer of hope that the comeback was on, but Portsmouth come back and make it 3-1. And to be fair, for the second half, we just completely bent over. But like I say, with the refereeing decisions, I mean, Portsmouth, they could have quite easily had a couple of reds themselves. If Leuven's was a red card, then they could have easily had a couple of reds themselves. Some of the challenges, they were very questionable. I mean, to be fair to the referee, there was some of the challenges from both sides that I know in previous games with certain referees that we had, we could have ended up being like 5 against 7 there with some of the challenges that was going on throughout the game. But, for example, in the first half, we had Honeyman, he was fouled, he was given our free kick, but whilst he was still on the floor, one of the Portsmouth players, I think it was their number 3, can't remember his name, he had a dig/stamp on Honeyman whilst he was on the ground as he was going past him. Obviously our players have gone mad because we've all seen it, and then in the end the referee just gives a chat to Catamol and the number 3 just for arguing, and he gets away with it. A couple of little challenges, I think Gooch had a couple of them as well which were questionable. One of them in particular, I can't remember who the Portsmouth player was, but it was right on his shin or even nearly knee height where he was completely swiped out. Nothing was, I don't think a booking were given for that one. And so yeah, it was just, I didn't want it to come down to refereeing decisions. Like I say, it's pretty shit. Because like I said, I think in the first half we did just edge it. I think it really could in that second half if we didn't give away a penalty or a red card in general. It would have been a lot closer. It would have been a much more exciting game. But I think once the ref gave that red, we basically bent over and said, "Yeah, Portsmouth take the points," because it weren't good enough after that. But like I said, I can't really fault many of our players. We did work our arses off, but Portsmouth are too good a side to try and put up too much of a fight, especially when you've got 10 men. You're always going uphill from there. So yeah, at the end of the day, I'll give O'Nien man of the match. We do need to remember, of course, even though it does hurt right now and it does hurt me, it's only our second loss of the season. It's only our second loss in the league. I'll take it. Before this game, I was quite happy to take a draw, take the loss under the circumstances. You know, of course, it pisses me off, and I'm genuinely biting my tongue at a lot of things that I've seen throughout that game. But yeah, the season isn't over now. I've already seen people on social media basically saying that, you know, okay, well, we're going to have to settle for second now. There's a shit ton of games left. We still need to play Portsmouth at home. Portsmouth, they're not going to win every single game. They're going to drop points. But I just hope we pick ourselves up after this. I really do, and I think we will, because I don't think we played particularly badly at all today, particularly before we did get a man sent off in the first half then, basically. I do wonder why Maggi didn't even get on the pitch at all, though. That does that is something that definitely raises a question mark, because recently, I think on social media, Stuart Donald did hint towards some kind of things going on when we're talking about Gooch's contract, Maggi's contract, and you know, he was saying like maybe there's something going on, maybe there's not, and he's kind of just a bit sort of jokey online and on social media, and it just makes me think, you know, Gooch was on the pitch, Maggi wasn't, and he didn't even get anything. I don't know whether I'm thinking too much into it, but you know. To be fair with you, I'd be more happy if Gooch got a contract. I know Maggi bags his goals, and he bags his goals, but I think Gooch, I think in the long run, he will be the more realistic sort of long stay or long term player for us. Whereas Maggi, we know full well that he's going to end up leaving. As long as we get a bit of money for him, you know, of course it's a massive loss. He scores a shit ton of goals, but you know, he is replaceable in this league anyway. But I don't know. I might be thinking too much into it. But yes, so that was basically it, guys. I know it's a bit of a depressing one, really, isn't it? I've kind of been all over the place, but emotions are mixed in this one, because I don't feel like I can go mad at the players at all. I don't think they played particularly badly. I think, like I say, in the first half we were better than them, and a couple of refereeing decisions just completely turned the game on its head. But yeah, I am upbeat. I think that, like I say, after seeing that, if Portsmouth are supposed to be the best of the best, the way we competed in the first half, I think we're more than good enough, particularly with the sort of experimental side that we did use against them in that first half, and we're still better than them maybe only just, but we're still better than them. I think we have more than enough to get out of this league. So yeah, I think that's my sort of my review of this game, guys. Well done to Portsmouth. You in the end deserved it. If it weren't for that stupid red card, but yeah. So if you have enjoyed, please hit the like button for me. It'd be really, really appreciated, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already to become a fully fledged member of the Sarny Army. But for now, you take care and stay jamming.